This is my friend Vasily. He is a 14-year-old math prodigy by my standards, and he wants to learn programming. Now, I am a 14-year-old programmer with this YouTube channel, and now I am no prodigy, but I am a 14-year-old programming YouTuber who happens to own this channel. I'm sure that you can read and you read the title of this video. What I'm going to be doing in this video is teaching him the basics of Python programming, and by the end of this video, he should be able to create the FizzBuzz program with Python. If you don't know what that is, I'll explain it in depth later. And on Vasily's channel, which is called Vasily Melnikov Maths, I'll obviously leave a link in the description and in the pinned comment and up right in the top right corner right now. Go subscribe to it if you're into math. He is like really smart and you should subscribe to his channel. Anyways, he's going to teach me some math over on his channel, so watch out for his video later. That's enough of an intro. Let's just get straight into one 14-year-old teaching another 14-year-old how to code in Python. Alright, yeah, so here we are. Vasily, just can you give us a quick background of what you do and what you do on your channel and stuff?
My channel is mainly dedicated to math, especially the applications of math to finance and economics. I personally am interested in the applications of probability theory to certain areas of financial mathematics or mathematical economics. So, for example, general equilibrium theory, several other things. My channel kind of arose out of a need to kind of make notes of things, and then afterwards I realized, well, I could just record videos explaining my notes of different things. Yeah.
So yeah, and how long, when did you first start getting into this kind of math?
Years ago, maybe. Years, I would say.
How many years? We didn't hear that.
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, and what about programming? Have you done anything with programming in the past?
Not really at all. It's very useful for getting a job later on.
Yeah.
But I haven't done it.
So not even Scratch or anything?
No, I mean I've done Scratch,
Oh,
but that's
okay.
not really programming as much,
Yeah.
I would say.
All right, so yeah, you're basically starting from nothing, but you'll see that programming is a lot like math in a lot of ways, so it should be pretty simple. Basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna walk you through the basics of Python, and then at the end, I'm gonna ask you to make a program which is FizzBuzz. So do you know what FizzBuzz is?
No clue.
Okay, so FizzBuzz, it's like a game where it's 2 or more people, right? And basically what you have to do is count from a range. So for example, 1 to 50. So you just count, but if the number you're on is divisible by 3, you say fizz. And if it's divisible by 5, you say buzz instead of the number. And if it's divisible by 3 and 5, you say FizzBuzz. So
it's basically just a sequence of words.
Yeah. So I'm just going to get you to go through a range of numbers. It can be whatever range. And then just write some logic to print out the number, or print out fizz, or print out buzz, or print out FizzBuzz. And with everything I'm going to teach you, you should be able to do that. Okay. So yeah, just getting started. The first thing I guess I would want to teach you is hello world in Python. So have you heard of the hello world statement before?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so a lot of the times it's the first thing programmers learn when they're programming. So in Python, it's really simple. You use something called a print function, and I'm sure you're familiar with functions, obviously. They just take in parameters and then they return something.
Yeah.
So it uses the print function, which is built into Python. So you don't have to create your own print function. You can just call the print function. And when I say call the print function, I mean actually run it. So when you run a function, you say that you're calling the function. So to print out hello world, all you need to do is just type out print and then put 2 parentheses.
Print.
And then inside of that, just go ahead and type in hello world. All right, and now just go ahead and press the run button. And yeah, as you can see, it throws an error. Name hello is not defined. So the reason for this is because Python, it thinks you're referencing a variable. So when you say print hello world and you don't enclose hello world in quotation marks, it thinks that hello world is going to be a variable. So it tries to look for a variable called hello world, or in this case, it tries to look for a variable called hello, because you can't name variables with a comma. So it tries to look for that. It doesn't find any variable called hello, so it throws this error.
You have to call like...
So what you have to do is, instead of just saying hello world like this, you have to enclose hello world in quotation marks. So go ahead and do that.
Run it, basically.
Quotation marks, not parentheses.
These quotation marks?
Yeah, so just go ahead and like select hello world like I did here, and then just enclose it in quotations. you're gonna need to do it like inside of the brackets. So like, yeah, and then just do that for the left one. And yeah, now you can go ahead and run it. And yeah, you get hello world.
Oh my goodness.
So basically what you just did by enclosing hello world in quotation marks is you created a string. So a string is a type of variable in programming, which is basically just like a piece of text. So for example, hello world would be considered a string, right?
Okay.
So there are other types of variables as well. So go ahead, instead of saying, so after saying print hello world, can you go ahead and say like print and then print out a number? And actually here, you don't have to enclose the number in quotations because you don't want to print out a string here. So now go ahead and run it. And you get 44, right? So you don't have to enclose that in quotation marks because this is actually not a string. It's an integer. So an integer is another type of variable in Python, and it just stores data like this, just whole numbers.
Okay.
So you can print out anything using the print function, like you just did. You printed out the string hello world, and you printed out the number 44. Go ahead and print out 44 and do some arithmetic on it.
What's...
And then run that. And then you get 1. So printing stuff like that basically translates to English a lot of the time, as you just saw there. So like that's how you can print stuff in Python. So that's like the first thing you learn. And now it looks like you've mastered printing. And the next thing we're going to do is, I kind of already explained this, but we're going to basically go through all the types of variables, and I'm going to show you how to make a variable. So I'm sure you're familiar with variables, right, in math?
Yes.
So a variable in programming is like the same thing. It's just a piece of data that varies. So you can think of a variable as a container that stores a piece of information.
Just a set, basically.
Yeah, like that. So here, if I were to create some variables, like let's say name equals baraltech, I just created a variable, and the type of the variable is a string, because as you can see, it's a piece of text, and I enclosed it in quotation marks. So that's why it's a string, right?
Well, I could just put down, name equals... That would work.
Yeah, but so now since you have name, you already established what the name variable is. Now that you used name again, you're actually changing the content of the name variable. So if you go ahead and like print out name, it's going to print out baraltech because you changed the value to baraltech. So if you changed your name variable to like my underscore name, then we could print that out.
Name, basically?
Yeah. So now if we printed that out,
yeah.
And now we get VMM, as you can see. So that's just the string variable. And you can also create other variables. So go ahead and create an age variable and then just put your age in that.
You just print it right now, right?
Yeah.
Do I need the quotations?
You do not need the quotations because it's a number.
I could just print Each.
And then, yeah, you get 14. So yeah, those are integers, as you just saw. You can also create another type of variable, which is a floating point number, which is just like an integer, but it includes a decimal. So create a variable called, like, I don't know, anything you want, and then just put a decimal value in it.
Okay. Number equals 1.75.
Sure, and now print that out.
Let's have a problem. Oh, no, I actually didn't print it in. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, you get 1.75. So yeah, it's basically just that simple to create variables in Python. And you know some of the basic types. There's actually one more type, which is the Boolean. So if you know Boolean, right?
A Boolean algebra?
Yeah, like that. It's
True
just
or false.
Yeah, true or false. So in programming, a Boolean variable contains either true or false. So create a Boolean variable, like, I don't know, for example, sure, you could call it Boolean, and then set it to true or false.
It's a true or false.
You can't do that. You can choose true or false.
So do I just do true?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the problem here, as you can see, you're getting those red squigglies. Okay, if you change it back to a lowercase, you're getting those red squigglies. That's telling you that there's an error in your code, right? It's just like Google Docs. It's showing an error in your code. So the reason it's doing that is because in Python, Boolean variables, they always start with capitals. So instead of saying Boolean equals true with a lowercase t, you do it with an uppercase t. And then now just print out the Boolean.
So print out, will return like a 1 or something.
It'll actually return out true, as you can see.
Okay.
And now what I want you to do is delete the print Boolean and then write it again before you create the Boolean variable, just to see what will happen. So yeah, as you can see, we get an error. Boolean is not defined. So take a guess as to what went wrong here.
Well, you can't print something that hasn't been defined.
Precisely. So yeah, that's one of the most basic errors you will get. If you haven't defined something and you try to do anything on it, it's going to tell you that Boolean is not defined. So sometimes this occurs when you're working with multiple functions, and then inside of that function, your code can't like reach what you're trying to do, or you spell your variable name wrong. That's some of the cases where this can happen. So yeah, that's one of the basic errors in Python. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is perform some math on variables. So go ahead and create two variables. Make one of them 7 and make the other one 2. All right, and we're going to do some operations on these variables. So the first thing we're going to do, just go ahead and add x and y and then print that.
Do I just say print x plus y?
Yeah, that's exactly what you do. So go ahead and run that, and you get 9. And you can do the same thing. Go ahead and print x minus y. And there we go, we get 5. And then you can do the same thing with multiplication. So use an asterisk for that. And division, you use the backslash. So yeah, there we go. And there's one last one that I want you to know about. So this last one is called modulo. And what modulo is basically it divides the two numbers and then it returns what the remainder is. So go ahead and do print x and then the percent sign and then y.
Modular arithmetic.
Yeah. So as you can see here, it returned 1 for the last one. The reason for this is because y, which is 2, can go into x, which is 7, 3 times before becoming too big, right? So 2 times 3 is 6. The remainder is going to be 1, so it prints out 1.
I mean, could you do any other operations? Could you do print? A way to do, I don't know, x cubed? or something
Yeah,
like
you
that.
can do that. Instead of using the caret, replace that with 2 asterisks.
Like that, okay.
And then add your exponent.
Oh, I have to do it like that. Okay, let's say 3. All 2, yeah.
And then, yeah. So the most important one that I want you to remember is the modulo, right? So you're all familiar, you're all familiar with the modulo?
All familiar.
Okay. So that's going to be important for when you create FizzBuzz. All right, so yeah, everything looks good there. Now we're going to do some if statements. So an if statement is like one of the most basic things in programming, right? It just checks for a condition and then does something if that condition is true. So for example, in real life, if it's raining outside, then wear a rain jacket. If it's sunny outside, then wear a t-shirt, etc., right? So yeah. I want you to just intuitively just take a guess, take a gander as to how you would write an if statement in Python. And then, yeah, let's just see what you got.
Well, if I say if then would this be a statement?
And this is actually really close to what the statement would be. There's just a couple things wrong with it. As you can see, you have the squigglies, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, the if keyword, what you just wrote by saying if, you see how it turns into a different color like that?
Yeah.
That means that it's a keyword in Python. So if is a special keyword in Python. You can't just like say if for no reason. When you say if, Python knows that you're creating an if statement. So the next thing here, if boolean, this is also true, right? You're referencing a variable.
Yeah.
And then equals true. You would think this is correct syntax, right? But actually in Python, if you want to check if something is equal to something else, you have to use 2 equal signs.
2 equal signs, okay.
Yeah. So now that's working. However, like it's generally good practice to put spaces in between these like that.
Spaces, okay.
Okay.
Easier to read, right?
Yeah, it is. And then after that, instead of saying then, which is actually like intuitive, right? You would replace then with a colon. Well, that's a semicolon. Replace it with like just a colon. And then remove the space after true. All right, now go ahead and run your code. And as you can see, here we go. If boolean equals true, print x plus y. It recognizes that boolean is equal to true, and it does print x and y. So yeah, that if statement actually works. So good job. However, here with booleans in Python, you don't have to say if boolean equals true. You can just remove the if. You can just remove the equals true part. So if you just say if boolean, then it's going to do the same thing. But yeah, that doesn't really matter. What's a bigger issue though, which isn't really an issue, is you should put print x plus y on a separate line, and then as you can see, it tabs. This is it just looks better. And the PEP 8 style guide, which is just like a set of rules that establishes how you should write your Python code, it says to do this. So to write an if statement, say if, and then your condition, and then put a colon, and then put what you want to happen.
Seems reasonable, I think.
Yeah. So we just checked if boolean equals true. We can also do more operations. So the other operations we're going to do greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and not equal to. So just by what you just learned here, try doing some if statements using those operators.
Plain. Not sure, you know what, in standard practices, you'd write not equal to like that.
Mm-hmm. However, in Python, to write not equals to, you would use an exclamation mark and then the equal sign.
The other way around. Like that. Oh, no, actually. boolean not equal to
Actually, so after the colon, go ahead and just press enter so it indents. Yeah. And you have to remember, booleans in Python, they always start with uppercases.
Okay. The one maybe I'll try if boolean be this. Oh, I don't think you can apply that.
You actually can. That's how you use greater than or equal to.
Say boolean is more than or equal to false. And it's false like more than or equal to, or is this like, is there a notion of that?
No, there's no more than or equal to booleans as far as I know. It's just true or false. Try using X and Y.
What would I say? X.
Well, here, well, you're comparing a boolean to a number, right? To an integer. So it would just, I believe it would just like register boolean as a 1. I don't know. You can go ahead and try it.
That's interesting. Let's see. Boolean. And X star Y.
All right, before that, let's just change this to an uppercase, right?
Yeah.
And
Works.
it looks like it does work, but X times Y, that should be returning. Oh no, it doesn't work. So here it goes through here. If boolean is not equal to false, which this case is passed, then it prints X minus Y. So it prints 7 minus 2. This is why we get 5. But this is not being printed, so we don't get 14.
It makes sense. Makes sense.
So instead of saying if boolean is greater than or equal to X, go ahead and say if X is greater than or equal to Y.
Yeah, that's correct notation. Print this. Return my name.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so that works. We can go ahead and like remove that. So now try using, okay, let's go ahead and make Y also equal to 7 just to demonstrate that this works. So just run that again. And yeah, it still prints because it's greater than or equal to. All right, changing this back to 2. Go ahead and use some other operators. So use less than or equal to, and also use just less than, and also use greater than.
So if how you'd use less than or equal to?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Why? I'd say, well, print H.
And since X is not less than or equal to Y, it does not print age. But if you go ahead and make Y, let's say 9, run it again, and it works. So you can go ahead and try using less than and greater than if you want to.
I'll do just greater than. I imagine it'd be this, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just 1.
It is just 1.
Okay. Reverse order. Print this returns baraltech.
All right, there we go. Yeah, so that works. What else do I want to show you? Yeah, that's basically it for if statements. You seem to have them memorized. Here, though, once again, just it doesn't really matter, but you should put spaces between your operators just to make it nicer. Okay, so all of that works. So we can go ahead and keep all this stuff. Next, I'm going to show you for loops. So you're familiar with like well, yeah, you are familiar with the sum function, right? Like in math, yeah. It's a for loop is literally just like that, like exactly like that. A for loop just goes through a range and then it does something for every instance in that range. So for example, if I just created a for loop here, let's say for number in range 1 to 5, print number. This is just like a sum function. Run this, and then it goes through every number between 1 to 5, up to but not including 5. So remember that. Up to but not including 5. So it goes up to 4, and it prints it out. So that's going to be syntax for a for loop. So go ahead and create your own for loop.
Or how do you do that exactly? Like you say for,
and then you just create any number, any variable.
Or t. Do I say like 0, 5?
Well, that's close, but what you would do is, instead of doing that, you would say for and then t and then in, and then you would use something in Python called range. So for t in range, and then you would put your numbers.
I do range, 5, 15.
Okay, yeah.
Just put down our
Colon.
1. T.
Yep.
You give me all the numbers that satisfy.
Yep, it does. So yeah, that works. What else another thing you can do with for loops? This is just one of the other things you can do with for loops that are obviously very powerful. If you create a string, so let's say, let's do alphabet, and let's just say we do all the letters. Yeah, that's all of them. What you can do is actually go ahead and make another for loop, but instead of saying for t in range of that, replace range with just alphabet.
Okay. T in alphabet. Just give me it ordered.
Yep.
Q, W, E, R, T, Y. Okay.
Go ahead and print that.
We'll see.
And there we go. So it goes through every letter in that string, and it prints it out. So you can also, as you can see, you can also do that with strings. You don't just have to do them with ranges. You can also do them with arrays or lists. If you're familiar with like arrays in math, it's like that. So if I had, let's say, just here, let's just put in some strings. Let's say Vasily, Harsit, Rab, Bowl. Now print. Now run the code again. As you can see, yeah, it prints out all of them. So what I just created here is called a list. A list is like, as you can see, it's a list that contains stuff. How you create a list is you use square brackets, and then you put your items inside of the list separated by commas. So go ahead and create your own list, and then run a for loop through it and print every item.
So I say something like list equals E. Put this down.
Yep.
Put down for E in alphabet.
Yep.
You can use the same variable though.
You can, because the reason you can is because every time you make a for loop, this is a local variable. What that means is that it is just a variable that occurs within this for loop, within the scope of this for loop. So as soon as you leave this for loop, the variable t is just forgotten. So you can create a new variable t and then do the same thing with it. And yeah, list. Oh, you did that with alphabet instead of list.
Oh my. Okay, yeah. Actually, a list. Yeah. So I put that. It should.
Yeah. And yeah, there we go. Me and myself. So yeah, those are basically for loops done. And yeah, that's kind of all I have to teach you for now. Hope you understand all of this stuff. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead, delete all this stuff. Okay, actually, before we do that, I'm gonna teach you this thing called comments. So basically, a comment in programming is what it sounds like. It's a comment that you make on your code to a lot of the times explain what you're doing, but you can also use a comment to remove code that you may want to bring in later. So for example, what I just did here, I want to remove all this code. So I don't want any of this code to run, but I still want to keep it in case I want to access it later. So instead of just deleting it, now if I do like some stuff, I can't get it back. But what I can do is I can press Control and then backslash, and that's going to go ahead and comment it. As you can see here, all of this becomes green, and there's a bunch of hashtags, and this just comments it. Now if I go ahead and print, like let's say print hello, all of this code that is commented is going to be ignored, and it's just going to print hello. So running that, as you can see, we're just going to get hello.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, that's how you comment stuff in Python. A lot of the times you would use comments for explanation. So like this part of the code does this, for example,
etc.
You can also use comments on multiple lines by using 3 double quotes. So 1, 2, 3. And then now you can just type whatever you want here, and none of it is going to run.
Okay.
So yeah, that's comments, right? We can go ahead and comment. Okay, actually, you go ahead and comment all of your code.
If I go...
So just press Control A.
Okay.
And then press Control backslash. And yeah, that goes ahead and comments it. Okay, now I'm going to get you to try to go ahead and make the FizzBuzz program. You can choose whatever range you want. So for example, like 1 to 20 or 1 to 50 or whatever, it really doesn't matter. I just want you to program that. If you have any questions, I'll help you along the way, right? You're probably going to have some questions, but I just want to see if you can try to attempt to do it by yourself. So if you forgot what FizzBuzz is, you can go ahead and go to the lesson plan. And that explains like all the code, all the logic that you need. Like I said, you basically count. But if the number you're on is divisible by 3, instead of saying the number, you say fizz. If the number you're on is divisible by 5, instead of saying the number, you say buzz. And if it's divisible by both 3 and 5, you say FizzBuzz.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is go through a range. That's your first hint. Go through a range of numbers. Then check if the number is divisible by 3, or if it's divisible by 5, or it's divisible by 3 and 5.
Range equals, or let's say this is equal to, I can put in just, I don't know, let's just say 0, 11. Would that work?
Yeah, that would work.
T in range.
Yep.
If T is equal, okay, what does it say? If what are the operations? So if T percent 3 equals 0.
Yep.
And
make sure to use 2 equals signs.
Oh yeah. And say. So if the current number is divisible by 5, well, I just say, for T in range, T mod 5 equals 0, equals 0.
Mm-hmm.
As for T in range, if T for T mod 5, if T mod 5 equals 0 and is blue, so I imagine you can actually use the AND operation.
Yeah. Instead of using AND, you can also use 2 ampersands. You can just choose whichever one you prefer.
T mod 3 equals 0. Print this.
Make sure to make it a string.
Well, yeah, I've had the guess I'll run it now.
So what went wrong here? First of all, you forgot to just print the number if it doesn't satisfy any of those cases. So just go ahead and implement that.
I'll just say, can you like negate statements? Say if not.
Well, you'd need to put that in the for loop, right?
Okay. Say or key in range if key, say, mod 5 not equal 0 and key mod 3 not equal 0. Then it's t.
Yep, go ahead and run that. So what happened here? So first thing it's doing, t in range, it's going through everything. If it's divisible by 3, it prints out fizz. So how many numbers in there are divisible by 3? Well, it should be 3, 6, 9. So that should have printed 3 times. Next here, it should have printed twice, buzz twice. And then here, it shouldn't have printed it at all. So, wait, should it have? What, 5? No, it shouldn't. Okay. So, first of all, what I would tell you to do is remove all of these for loops and just make one for loop.
Okay. Just make one.
Yeah.
E in range, and I just basically print it out like, I do this. Say, if key mod 5 equals 0, what do I have to print?
Double equal.
If key mod 3 equals 0, what's this? Print.
Go ahead and run that. So
Team range. Yeah.
Okay, I probably should have taught you this before, but one hint I'm going to give you is you can actually use operations on strings. So for example, if I made 2 strings, so let's say my name equals Harsit and your name equals Vasily, we can print out my name plus your name. And running that, we're going to get Harsit Vasily. So you can do that. That is one hint I'm going to give you. Because as you see, like fizz and buzz, they combine to make FizzBuzz. Another thing, is there anything else? Well, so yeah, that's what I would tell you to do is create a string. And then, first of all, check if the number is divisible by 3. Then add fizz to the string.
Okay, yeah.
If it's divisible by 5, add buzz. And then if it's not divisible by either of them, just add the number to that string. So for example, if it's just 1, then add 1 to that string. So here, first of all though, let's see here. Let's say we have a number that is divisible by both 5 and 3, we just want to print FizzBuzz, right? We don't want to print buzz, and then we don't want to print fizz. Here, though, if we had a number that was divisible by both, it would print out both buzz and fizz, right? So it wouldn't satisfy that. So that's what I would tell you to do. Make a string and then use addition on that string.
So
also, it'd probably be better if you had a range like 1 to like 20.
20, okay. T is not equal to, do something like and T mod 3 not equal. Bro. That work?
Yeah.
And equal 0. Also an error. Oh, I should probably do the addition on strings. An error. Okay.
Okay, so make a string first. So outside of, actually no. So inside your for loop, make a string that's just empty. And then depending on the case, like you don't even have to include the and statements. Just depending on the case, add fizz or buzz to that string.
Okay. I can just make string equal to just this.
Yeah, just quotations.
Quotation.
Yeah.
And
also you need to do the fizz case first. So just put that there.
okay. I put just print string plus fizz.
Well, actually no, because so let's say it is divisible by 3. Then what we want to do is add fizz to it. We don't want to print it yet. We just want to add fizz to it.
Just add string.
Yeah. So string plus fizz. However, to actually add fizz to the string, you'd have to do something like string equals string plus fizz. Right? And that can just be shortened to string plus equals fizz.
Okay. So string.
So just write string plus equals fizz.
String plus equals.
Yep. And I'll just change your indentation there. Okay.
Over here, put string plus equals.
Yep.
Equals is
well, actually here you wouldn't need that, because if both of the cases like are passed, then you're gonna get FizzBuzz anyway, right?
Okay. And
so you can just delete that.
String equals,
and then just put the number. Okay, so the last thing that you need to know is, okay, it's not your fault. You think this would work, right? But actually, you can't add a number to a string. You can only add like a string to a string. So you need to convert this number into a string, and the way you do that is you use the built-in string conversion function in Python. So str and then surround it in parentheses, and that's going to convert t to a string.
Okay.
So go ahead and run that. Oh, wait, first, well, you're not printing string. So after all the cases, just print string. Okay, go ahead and run that. and it doesn't work because you didn't put print string inside of the for loop.
Okay, it actually has to be inside of that. Okay. And it has to go after everything.
Yeah. Okay, so what you can do instead of doing that, you can just press tab. Like select it and then press tab. And then you can press shift tab to move it outside. So shift tab moves it outside an indentation, tab moves it inside.
Okay, I see.
So run that again.
With the...
Actually, might have something to do with, okay, let's try doing 4T in 0 to 21. Or 4T in range. Run that now.
Trace back most recent call line file.
Oh, so what happened was, the whole time, the reason it wasn't working is because here you established range as just 0 to 21, but Python does not think that this is a range. Python thinks that this is a tuple, and a tuple is another type of variable in Python. You don't need to worry about that right now. Basically, yeah, Python doesn't think that this is a range. So to specify that this is a range, I should have told you earlier, but that's just my bad. You need to put in range.
Range.
Yeah,
okay.
and also you can't call your variable range because range is already something in Python. So change that to something else.
The list.
Yeah, and then change 4T in number list.
Run it.
And yeah, it works.
Works, yeah.
So nice, good job. You made a FizzBuzz program in Python, and if you change this to something else like 50, run it again, it goes all the way to 50. So looks like, okay, hold on. Okay, wait, 51. So that will include 50. And then yeah, there we go, buzz at the end. So yeah, it looks like you have successfully created the FizzBuzz program using Python. Believe it or not, this is actually a job interview questions in some places just to see if you can code. Like if you know the basics of coding, you should be able to do this just to prove that you know how to code. So I think for a beginner, for the first lesson in 50 minutes, I would say that's pretty good. So yeah, guys, make sure to check out Vasily's video, which he'll post on his channel. His channel is obviously in the link in the description and in the pinned comment, where he's going to teach me some regression analysis. So that's going to be fun. But now, Vasily, you know some basic Python, and you can make basic scripts like that.
Exactly.
So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed me teaching this 14-year-old math prodigy. 14-year-old programmer teaches 14-year-old math prodigy programming. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed me teaching him. I don't know, like 420 trillion% of you are not subscribed, so subscribe if you want to see more. I hope to see you in the next video, but until then, have a good day. All right, yeah, that's about it.